Welcome to today's YNCU Chamber Young Professionals event, Mentor, Mix, and Mingle. My name is Jessica Stone, and I work at Playgrounds Movement Training Center, and I'm a member of the YNCU Chamber Young Professional Committee for the Greater KW Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with McDaniel Phillips, another member of the CYP Committee and mortgage agent at Dominion Leading Center's Expert Financial. I want to thank you for joining us. This event is run each year for anyone who is looking for best practices on making the most of their network and advice on how to advance in their career. Tonight, we will hear from a panel of 2 local leaders in the region on the importance of having and being a mentor, regardless of what stage you're at in your career. And later in the evening, you will have a chance to meet industry experts in group speed mentor rounds. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that we live and work on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples as we seek a renewed relationship based on the foundation of mutual understanding and respect. As participants in today's virtual event, we are coming together as one. We believe everyone is free to be their true self and receive the same respect and opportunity regardless of age, ethnicity, gender, culture, identity, sexual orientation, beliefs, or language. We hope you'll join us in fostering a positive environment here today to ensure a safe and welcoming space for all. We will now hear from our title sponsor, Your Neighborhood Credit Union.
Hi, my name is Erica Kappa. I am an Assistant Manager of Member Services at YNCU. At YNCU, we are your financial partner who understands the real trials and financial realities of our members' lives today. We're the kind of financial partner that uses our profits to fuel local growth within the local communities that we belong to. We're the kind of ally that provides genuine and personalized solutions that actually meet your needs. We're all about being a good neighbor. As your experienced and trusted financial partner, creating value for you through innovative and convenient solutions, smart advice, and community connections is what matters most to all of us at YNCU. Thank you and enjoy today's Mix and Mingle.
Thank you, Your Neighborhood Credit Union, for being the title sponsor for this event. Thank you as well to our event sponsor, You Got a Shop Here Waterloo Region. Without their support, this program would not be possible.
Before we pass it over to our moderator for this evening's panel, a reminder that at any time you can visit the reception page to learn more about our event sponsors and to view the event schedule. You'll also notice in the navigation panel to the left that it indicates which part of the event is currently live. This will help you guide through the event so you don't miss any important updates or event content. After the panel discussion, we'll move into group networking with tonight's mentors. We've got so many great mentors here today, and will share their career journey with you and share lessons that they have learned and answer questions you may have. In each of these groups, you will be with one of the CYP community members to introduce you to the mentors, as well as help facilitate conversations. Please follow the rotation schedule that was provided to you in the advance, so we can ensure small group sizes with each session of mentors. Also, watch for the announcements so you know when to move to the next round. Make sure you have some questions ready for our mentors once the mix and mingle portion of the event begins. At any time, if you have any questions during tonight's event, you can visit the help desk in the sessions area to speak with a live chamber representative at any time, or send a direct message to one of the committee members.
And now, let's kick off today's event with a panel discussion on mentorship. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad that you could all join us today for the annual CYP Mentor, Mix, and Mingle. My name is Allison Mitchell, and I'm a program manager with the Chamber of Commerce. To kick off the event, we have 2 great panelists today. We're going to hear from Tabitha Laverty and Gary Brown on the importance of having and being a mentor to set some context for the rest of the event. Gary Brown possesses a degree in chemical engineering and an MBA. He has worked corporately in the industrial process control space in Canada, the US, and the UK. Gary founded and operated a sales company selling industrial control components, which he sold and joined the Focal Point coaching program. He has transferred his coaching skills to the mortgage industry and more recently has been a mentor in Summer Company operated by the Waterloo Region Small Business Center, as well as their startup program. Gary has been involved as a mentor in the YMCA Mentorship Program for the past year. Tabitha Laverty is the Director of Marketing and Communications at the Accelerator Center. Tabitha is a marketing strategist and communications leader with 10 years experience working with SMEs and public sector agencies to help them leverage their unique story, articulate bold visions, and develop organizational strategies that result in thriving organizations. With a background in journalism and certificates in marketing and nonprofit management, Tabitha leverages partnerships and storytelling to build the AC's organizational strategy, develop community, and attract Ontario's top innovators into the AC programming. Thanks so much, Gary and Tabitha, for joining us today. Tabitha and Gary, we have only a short time, 15 minutes, so we'll try and get through as much as we can when it comes to mentoring. Tabitha, maybe you can start by telling us what the purpose of mentorship is.
Yeah, so from my perspective, do you guys hear feedback?
Nope,
No.
we're okay.
Yeah. I
Yep.
just hear myself then. So from our perspective at the Accelerator Center, we're working a lot of times with very young companies, entrepreneurs. So the purpose of mentorship is really to help people accelerate the time it takes them to get to their goal. So we're looking at matching individuals with really experienced people who've done the thing that our clients and our founders want to do and can help them kind of avoid making those common mistakes, help them build self-awareness, and kind of help them develop that goal-setting skill set so that they're moving rapidly from one milestone to the next in their goals.
Okay, great. Gary, can you tell us a little bit about what the benefits are to having a mentor and being a mentor?
Allison, I'd be happy to do that. I guess from a mentee's standpoint, it's presumably going to give them an opportunity to get some answers to questions that perhaps have been vexing for some time. It's going to give them some insights beyond those that they already have. Hopefully it helps give them a leg up in whatever their chosen field is. And I think from a mentor's standpoint, it's really an opportunity to give back. I think a lot of us are very interested in finding opportunities to help others. And I'd say that we all have egos. And certainly in my case, I know my ego gets stroked when I see that I've done something beneficial for somebody else. So being a mentor has an opportunity to provide some really meaningful feedback to you, the mentor, while providing the mentee with something equally useful as they begin their journey. Whatever that might be.
Okay, great. Thank you. And so Tabitha, if you're a professional and you're looking for a mentor, what are some of the things that you would recommend that you look for?
So I think the first and the biggest thing is finding somebody who's a good match for you. You're looking for someone who has done the thing that you're wanting to do. Also somebody who is open to a mentorship relationship. A mentor-mentee relationship is an active relationship where, you as a mentee are coming to the table with a really defined set of goals, and the mentor is coming to the table with the time and capacity to support you in that. So finding someone you trust and who has the time to build that type of relationship with you, I think is really important. And also someone you feel really comfortable with, somebody who's okay pushing you a little bit and that you feel okay being pushed by. I think is really important for you to get the most out of that relationship.
Okay, great. And Gary, if you're somebody who's interested in being a mentor, what do you think that those people should look for in mentees?
That's an interesting question. Interest would be one thing. Commitment would be another. I would say a certain amount of discipline on the part of the mentee. And I'd like to sort of step sideways a little bit for a moment and just say that I'd hate to create an expectation in the part or in the mind of a mentee that somehow this is all a one-way street. The mentee, in my mind, certainly has to realize that they're driving the bus. This is not a spoon feed, mother hen feeding the chick up in the nest with a worm that the mother has gone to find. This is really a mentee-driven program in my mind. So as a mentor, I'm looking for somebody that's interested in helping themselves and being devoted to themselves, really wanting to put in whatever effort is mutually agreed upon between mentor and mentee in order to move forward in whatever the direction is they've chosen to take. So I think it's really important to find somebody that's willing to help themselves.
Okay, great. And so, Gary, maybe I'll ask if you've, mentored people, which I know that you have, how would you recommend a mentee reach out to a mentor? Like, is it just a cold email on LinkedIn? How would you, there's lots of different ways to do it. So what are some tips?
Well, that's also interesting. I think of myself, I would say that I had a mentor, but it was never a relationship that was formalized. And I do think that you can have either a formalized or a completely non-formal relationship. So if you're striving to have a formalized one, where I've actually reached out to Allison and say, gee, would you mind mentoring me? I think it's probably a phone call. And in today's world, a phone call is probably going to be the way to start it. But I really do think that you've got to reach out to that person and express your admiration, almost, I suppose I should say, for what you recognize they've done, and hence the reason why you're interested in seeing if they'd be prepared to provide some assistance for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a little bit related to that, at least in my head it is, I wouldn't necessarily think that I want to copy somebody that's been successful in the field that I'm in. I have a tendency to think we need to be different. So we just need to be a little bit cautious as the mentee, not to go after somebody that you think, oh, I want to be just like that person. I know Tabitha has been really successful in her industry. It's my industry. So I'm going to reach out to Tabitha. And while that could be fine, I think it's worth exploring other possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a great tip. So I know that you're both involved in organizations that have mentorship programs. So Tabitha, can you tell us a little bit about the mentorship program at the Accelerator Center?
Yeah, so our mentorship program is really the lifeblood of the work that we do. It's one of the things that makes our programming very unique. If you're familiar with the Accelerator or incubator community, it's quite common to have a community-based model where folks who are participating in the program are really connecting with each other and learning from each other, which is absolutely wonderful. Peer-to-peer mentoring can be a great resource. But our structure is a little bit different, where we have folks who are actually part of a team who are professional mentors. They're trained to mentor and coach people. And that means they have a lot of capacity to work with a lot of people. So they have exposure to a lot of different types of challenges that they may not necessarily get if they were simply working in industry. But also they're able to collaborate together and kind of share their experience and their opinions, so that you really get almost like this network of support that's all driving behind you, creating kind of one strategy for you. We work with startup founders and entrepreneurs, so it's around building businesses. But the same can be said for the work that we do with leadership coaching, getting people ready to be the CEO of a scaling company. Having that really robust network of multiple mentors can be a really valuable thing. And that's a big part of our program is having that huge network of support and not just one source.
Mm-hmm. And you've already touched on this, but I'm wondering if there's anything that you might have to add in terms of like how the mentorship program benefits the businesses and the startups that the AC works with.
Yeah, so the big factor is helping, again, create that strategy. So how do we get you from where you are to wherever it is that you want to be, and avoiding maybe some of the common mistakes along the way. That's kind of the biggest benefit of having the program. But also one of the things that we see quite often and people benefit from the mentorship is that variety of perspectives. So seeing things in a way that perhaps they hadn't seen if they come from a background of business, and seeing things from a customer experience lens, perhaps, or from a technical lens, and vice versa, and just having exposure to different types of experience and different types of ways of thinking.
Mm-hmm. That's great, especially if you're a startup, right? And this is all new territory for you. Getting some advice from somebody who's been there would be very beneficial. Gary, how does the YMCA mentorship program work?
Tempted to say beats me. That's not a very good answer. So the focus with the Y is around internationally trained professionals. So it's quite a narrow subset, I'd suggest.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have been in the country for less than 3 years. You have to be quite proficient in English language skills. And again, a trained professional. Broad definition to what professional would be, certainly in terms of field of education. And it's an application process applied to the person that's the coordinator, Marcia Saluter. And I don't know that they have a limit to the number of people necessarily, but then they try to match you and your chosen field with a mentor who's somewhat related in that field. Now, again, I take the approach that you don't have to be in the same field, unlike the Accelerator Center where you get this multiplicity of mentors.
Mm-hmm.
It may, in fact, be helpful to get somebody who's from outside your particular area of interest, because they might offer things that you wouldn't have thought of because they're outside sort of your sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an application process. I don't know that there are any particular hurdles that you have to overcome other than this 3 years or less in the country and a certain level of English proficiency. And again, I'd go back to this notion of being committed and willing and demonstrating that willingness to participate actively.
And is it an application process if there's somebody who's interested in being a mentor?
There is, and I know the Y is quite actively seeking people out of a variety of disciplines currently. And I think, frankly, if you've got an interest in mentoring, I'd reach out to the Y.
Right.
There is a process of going through police check and a couple of other requirements with regards to child safety and some of the content really that got used in the beginning of this video that preceded the panel conversation, but it's not particularly arduous. And again, if you're interested in helping, they'd be more than willing to have you apply.
Okay. And how might the WISE mentorship program assist local businesses with talent shortages?
I suppose in part, the Y personnel can be reaching out through organizations like the Chamber and then through mentors that they've got on board based on the network that we have. Not only is it a conversation with a mentee about here's how the Canadian business environment works, if you will, but gee, I happen to know Tabitha, who happens to know Sally, who happens to know Fred, and I can make some connections for you that way, and perhaps there's an opportunity. My general sense is that the mentee-mentor relationship ends up putting quite a number of professionals into employment situations. So somewhat anecdotally, I guess I understand that it's been fairly successful so far.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And I'll post this question to either one of you. Both of you feel free to answer. I'm curious if you can talk about, is it okay to have more than one mentor?
I think Tabitha's already.
I think I've said yes, absolutely. It's okay to have more than one mentor. In fact, I would say if you have more than one goal, it may be totally reasonable to have more than one mentor. The key when you're looking at how much mentorship you can handle is, again, it's an active relationship. So when you're coming to a mentor meeting, that hour is not spent socially necessarily, although spending some time building a trusting relationship is important. You're coming with an agenda, you're coming with asks, you're coming with some goals, and if you can handle two, great. On the flip side of that, if you are mentoring someone, again, just make sure that you consider your capacity to provide value to that relationship and that you're able to really plug in, understand what it is that person is looking for from you in that relationship, whether it's connections, whether it's advice and feedback, and you just have the capacity to make that meaningful for you and for the person you're mentoring.
I just throw in there, and I apologize in front of things because I have a degree in engineering. I tend to be a little bit, my wife would say a lot, anal. But if you have one data point, it's pretty tough to draw a line with a particular slope. It can be whatever you want. But if you have 2, 3 mentors, and now you're getting 2 or 3 perspectives, maybe it's easier to join the dots in your mind in terms of the direction you're trying to take. So I do think if you can put yourself in a position of having more than one mentor, wow, that'd be ideal.
Okay, great. Well, I thank you both so much for your time. That time flew by. I have lots more questions and we could chat forever, but it is time to move on. So I want to say thank you again for taking the time out of your schedules to share your expertise and your time with us today. Next up, we will be breaking into group networking so that everyone can have a chance to meet our amazing group of mentors that we have with us today. Mentors, please make your way to the session with your name in the description, and you will stay in the same session for the duration of the Mentor Mix and Mingle. Attendees, you have been sent your assigned groups for this portion of the event. So in a moment, you can head over to your first group. The groups will be found under the Sessions tab on the left-hand side of your screen. If you have any questions about where you should be, you can head to the help desk and a chamber representative will direct you to the correct group. Everyone will have received a list of questions for mentors, and you're more than welcome to refer to those. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event, and please go ahead and head to your group session now. Thanks again, Tabitha and Gary.
Thank you.
Awesome.